but sounds interesting.
I don't know. I'll have to find it. It's like the Taco Bell commercial, like, we're good to go. It looks like we are now in the picks and bans phases. Let me make sure to get that overlay up so you cannot see the summoners. And the first
Meanwhile, you
ban
can say
champion.
that we have Kale being banned out first. Very strong champion at the moment. Basically, she does a ton of damage, even after with some of those nerfs that have happened to her. She still does quite a bit of damage, so she can lane really well, and I feel like one of the biggest things that people don't want to deal with when they see Kayle is the fact that her intervention is able to completely negate the burst damage on any one champion of her choice for a couple seconds, which can really turn the tide in a teamfight. Suppose your team has a Syndra or something whose ultimate can really just take one person and single target damage half of their health or even more with just a single ability. Well, Kayle can stop that, which is really something that a lot of people don't want to deal with. So I agree with Kayle as a ban. Little bit odder, I would have to say, would be the Karma ban and even the Sejuani ban afterwards as well.
I have to say though, Kayle did get a pretty heavy nerf recently. Her ult range was ticked down about a fourth of her range actually. So she went down from 1200 to 900. So that did really hurt her. Malphite and Caitlyn both very strong, not only in the lane but late game. Caitlyn not as much late game, but she still has a lot of kite ability and does have that range right off the get-go where Tristana has to build hers up. Blitzcrank, again, just not wanting that random reposition. They want to be able to play safe. And Blitzcrank, even though he is not the strongest, like Thresh has that reposition as well. Nautilus, Leona has a lock, but just blitz hooks can just catch you blindside, and it's really just you need to know how to play against him and be able to juke.
That's very true. Now I'm gonna try to see if I can break down this a possible reason for the Karma ban, because as we all know, she has recently been remade, which means she's gotten all new abilities and whatnot, and her kit works very differently. The only thing that really remained was the fact that she had mantra charges, which power up the rest of her abilities, which is a pretty cool mechanic, I have to say. But I definitely think that this is that after the rework, she has turned into a better champ. And one of the main reasons for that is because she's got a lot of early game damage, and I mean a lot. She can poke from quite a distance, and her poke does quite a bit of damage as well. When we speed up a little bit to the late game, then it kind of scales off a little bit, but she still has a shield that could potentially be turned into an AoE shield if you use a mantra charge on that. And on top of that, do a little bit of damage. So it really helps for AoE teamfight comps. But at the same time, the reason we don't really see her played all that often is because in the late game with those AoE teamfight comps, there are better champion choices. Thresh is actually one of those examples where he has a lot more AoE ability knockups and whatnot, whereas Karma, she has an AoE slow and also an AoE shield, a little bit of AoE damage as well, but there's no real hard CC on her, whereas champs like Sona, she has a complete stun on a large AoE, so that's one of the reasons why we don't see Karma played too often, but she's definitely a strong person to lane against. So there is a possible reason to ban her right there, but we're getting behind on the picks for a little bit. We have Leona Graves, extremely aggressive bot lane. I think one of the only ones that might actually outdamage Taric Graves.
Yeah,
Or Graves
Leona's
Taric.
passive, just for those of you who don't know, does give the attacker a little bit of extra damage there on a proc, like her sunlight passive, and that's going to be really good against that Vayne, especially that Vayne doesn't have barrier. We're also seeing if she'll have to pick that up because taking a defensive summoner spell is almost necessary, especially on Vayne. Vayne needs to survive the early game and farm. That's really how you play her. And I really think Lulu is going to do a decent job, or is going to have to do a decent job here at really playing Protect the Vayne here, because Leona Graves, incredibly aggressive. So
Yep. And
we're gonna have to see if they're gonna be able to shut down Vayne, or if Vayne's going to get to the late game. Because if they are, she's going to be in a little bit of trouble here. And we do see the last few picks going to be picked up here. We do have an Elise and Ari and a Shen and Orianna, actually. They have a very, very good AoE team fight for purple team. Oh, never mind. Orianna's gone. Oh, never mind.
and it is back. But even no matter what that mid lane pick is, they're still going to have quite a bit of quite a bit of AoE teamfight potential. Shen's got an AoE taunt. We have Lulu with an AoE knockup as well as a slow on whoever she decides to, an AoE slow on whoever she decides to ult. And we also have WinNEtehPOOH, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right because he did yell at me for pronouncing that wrong at the very first, but he's playing Jarvan, who is another one of those really good AoE teamfight champs because he has Cataclysm, which can wall a bunch of people in an AoE. So they did go for the Orianna pick, which basically just wombo combo all day, I have to say. We have Jarvan, he runs into the fight, goes in, uses his ultimate, followed up with Orianna's ultimate, followed up with Lulu's ultimate. There's going to be so much knock up there. It's going to be fairly ridiculous, I have to say. But at the same time, the purple team, they're going to be really, really far behind in this bot lane. Not only do we have Leona Graves, one of the really, really they're just really aggressive, high burst, high damage bot lane lanes against Vayne, who is one of those which we know being notorious for having a little bit of squishiness in the early game, and she's not really able to compete with some of the power of champions like Graves. Lulu's going to be able to help her disengage a little bit especially past 6, but I don't think it's enough disengage to keep her alive in lane this early, especially when blue team Jack Sparrow decided to pick up Shaco. So he's going to be looking for a lot of early game aggression, a lot of early game ganks, because if he can't get his team fed, then Shaco's really not doing his job, and he's not the best champ in terms of late game most of the time. He just puts boxes everywhere and tries to split push, but if he can get his team fed in the early game, then Shaco's efficiently done his job.
Yeah, and to help him do that, as we can see, the summoner blockers are now off. He did take that smite and ignite, going to be make him really aggressive there. We do see that Vayne has taken that ignite exhaust with Lulu. They can potentially get a kill if Leona and Graves misplay something. Graves does have that barrier as an answer to that, though. Barrier obviously came into popularity as, you know, kind of a counter for ignite, or a counter for a little bit of burst damage that they could put out. It also, we're going to see Elise and Shen in the top lane. Elise not really, well, does have one hard CC that she could stop Shen's ult with, but that's, you know, really hard to hit because you can't really hit it through minions, so you'd have to be right next to him, and so Shen really would have to misplay his ult for Elise to be able to cancel it. I know that there are certain champions that are really good at nullifying Shen's ult, which, you know, not only does that make it so the bot lane team fight or the mid lane team fight is pretty much even again without the, you know, the presence of Shen, but it also kind of throws them off because though they're like, oh, I expected Shen to come in, and you don't really pay attention that it gets interrupted until a few seconds later, or unless someone's shouting in your ear on Skype. But we do see one thing I do like is the Orianna pick. I personally love Orianna's ult and the synergy with frontline tanks that Jarvan, that Shen is going to be able to taunt, Lulu knock up Orianna ball, and that's just going to hurt their team so much. Alternatively, Jarvan Cataclysm, Lulu ult, Orianna ball to even pull him into the Cataclysm and keep him there. To me, it's just really, really interesting. I do like that there is a lot of mobility on the blue team, though.
That is very true. So we're going to have to see how this game works out. Definitely blue team, they definitely win the early game. Purple team wins the team fight, however. So it's really just going to be a question of, can purple team get to the point where they're going to be doing a lot of damage? They're going for supreme late game, as you said, with the amount of team fight power they have, and Vayne, who's a great hyper carry. So we're going to get into this game. We can take a quick look at the skin war, which is something we always like to see. Unfortunately, the last game sort of disappointing with skins, actually, only having 3, but hopefully these teams will be able to get a tiny bit more. We're looking for at least a 4 here, and they will set the record for today.
At least a 4.
Okay.
We so far have Dragon Drainer Vayne, Dragon Slayer Vayne. Azaraki Slayer Vayne. You're just like sad now. You're like sad now. You're like, oh.
Blue team better win this.
Wait,
there is actually a curse on people who play Dragon Slayer Vayne. I remember there was one tournament I casted where 2 games in a row, we saw teams play Dragon Slayer Vayne, and the team who played that lost both games.
And Dragon Slayer Lulu. I totally forgot about that. They
Or
just have the
Dragon
Dragon
Trainer
Slayer
Lulu, but
or Dragon Trainer.
still. It's still just as offensive, so I really don't like this.
Hey,
But we'll have to see whether or not they can pull it back and get rid of this curse that we all know about.
hey, I think Skype going a little bonkers. So let's quickly. Do you want to drop the call or drop out of the call real quick and rejoin? See if that fixes.
Let's try
Or
that out.
am I robot-y?
You're the host.
Well, no, I mean you just drop out and join back in
Okay.
real quick. So, well, he is doing that. Hopefully, going to be fixing.
Hopefully I'm better.
Yeah, much better.
Oh, awesome. What was happening?
It was just where the voice gets robot-y. I don't know why it happens. Skype just does that every once in a while, but either way, we are about to hop in this game once. It looks like Suki might be running on a little bit of potato power here. Not the slowest load I've ever seen, but
I have definitely seen slower, and I'm glad that this didn't end up like that really slow game I have. But it looks like both of these teams, they're playing relatively near each other in terms of actual distance, because the pings. Let's take a look at the blue team. They're all hovering in 50. The purple team or the red team, on the other hand, they're all hovering around 25 with
Vayne is the outlier.
Yeah, a little
Because
bit
of
of an
Dragon
outlier
Slayer
right there.
Vayne. Dragon Slayer Vayne
That
takes
is
more CPU
exactly
power.
why I'm sure that on a normal day when he's playing any other skin, he's going to be able to get down to those 25 ping marks that the rest of his teammates have.
Probably, as we do know that Dragon Slayer Vayne does use twice the CPU power of any any other skin.
Alright, goodbye, no-namer. See you later. And there we go. We are finally in this game. Quite a long loading screen. Definitely up there, but as you said, definitely seen longer loading screens. And right now, we'll have to see which both teams do. It looks like blue team, we have 3 members, all the members of their team, going for a very, very quick escape from their base. Mobilization, that's the word. They're going to mobilize very quickly, whereas the red team took a little bit longer. We see they're just now reaching the edges of their base, whereas the blue team, they're already at their own wraiths, but it looks like they're just trying to do that defensively. They're going to say, alright, if they get here before us, they can wait in the bush, they can try to surprise us, but if we get here first, we can wait in the bushes, and that will also help us out, because if they walk into the bushes, then we get the surprise on them, rather than them getting the surprise on us. So right now we're seeing a lot of defense for Shaco's jungle, which really makes sense, because if you destroy Shaco's boxes, then his jungle is severely weakened, and if you counter jungle Shaco really early, then his jungle is also severely weakened, and he can't get out that early game pressure that he is so well known for.
He could also still kill you. I mean, Shaco is fairly strong, but if you are right, if the boxes go, then his jungle slows down immensely. One thing I do have to say, though, is I really hope the Shaco is a pretty decent Shaco player. I love seeing some good Shaco play. He doesn't own much to the team, and he really doesn't, add much, but it's just so fun to watch really, really good Shaco play, a really good LeBlanc play, because it's just a really, it's a really high skill impacted champion to play incredibly well.
That's very true, and as I said before, he's not all that worthless in terms of his team value. But really, where he shines is those early game ganks. So we're gonna have to see whether he can pull those off. And I really think that the right move for the red team to do is just play almost all of their lanes defensively. Really, we have Shen, who is basically known for turtling out until level 6, farming up, doing as much farm as he can, and then making action happen around the rest of the map. Orianna is really the champion that can look to poke quite a bit in the early game for the red team, as she's got pretty long range poke that keeps her relatively safe using that ball to poke around. And we also have the bot lane. Anyone going against Leona Graves, trust me, you don't want to get aggressive. That's really the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, if Leona hits a good Zenith Blade, then the lane is essentially going to snowball in their favor, and she just waiting for that level 2 until she has her stun and her Zenith Blade there, can jump in, go really aggressive, and at level 3 you can even take your W, which literally will give you extra armor and magic resist. Your Eclipse, it's really useful for early pressure, and there she hits level 2. You can just see her waiting there. I hope that's not lag issues. I wonder if she's just playing AFK.
And I think she might have been just there to zone. She took Zenith Blade as well as Shield of Daybreak are in her first two levels, so she's basically looking to go all in fairly soon, just try to go up, stun someone, and get out. And once again, as we said earlier, those sunlight procs on her passive
It
really
looks like
help
they're
out.
going in on the Lulu, getting stunned, taking a lot of damage, and that's first blood. The Condemn going out a little bit late. Again, Leona just locking Lulu down and picking up first blood. Leona such a strong support.
And that is exactly why Leona Graves is such a strong lane, because they have just such great burst, and now Leona's level 3. She's got her Eclipse as
Going
well.
under Vayne. That is going to be another kill right there. They're both going to get away. No, Graves taking the tower, but looks like Barrier's going to save his life. Pretty nice barrier right there. Kind of probably wouldn't have had to pop it, honestly. He kind of was
he hesitated a little.
Yeah. A little curious on where to go.
Yeah, but it looks like, actually, Orianna taking quite a bit of poke damage from, here we go again.
Hitting it at the just right time. There goes the Shaco, but unfortunately, very, very nice flash coming out by her, getting her under the tower.
One thing that I have to say when playing I was trying to say Ariana, but Orianna against a high skill shot champion is that you really can't be predictive in your movements. When you use your command attack, when you use anything to relocate the ball, you really have to be sort of mind gaming your opponent, because if for a split second that opponent's reaction time, he sees Orianna's ball go out, he can say, alright, fire a skill shot right there. And it's going to be able to hit unless you are really on the ball with the way you move when you activate command attack. So I don't really think
There goes
Orianna's
another
been doing
Zenith
that.
Blade there. Vayne hitting Leona away, but taking so much damage there. Lulu using a whimsy there on Graves that is going to prevent him from doing anything else. But here comes Shaco too. They probably should have waited. No, there was a ward there, and I think they knew it.
Yeah, either way, they're getting pressure on the other bot lane, and I mean, look at the amount of damage they were able to do. Vayne is down to about half health, and just barely dodging a Zenith Blade there.
Look at the
But
CS
Shaco's
difference there. Here comes Shaco. There goes the Ignite and the flying axe. The little knife flying across the map there a little bit. Getting that kill for Shaco. At this point, right now, they knew that they had to shut down Vayne. Vayne, incredibly powerful late game, and it looks like Orianna could go down in the middle. Very nice shield. Flashing an auto attack, though, is going to be for the kill in the mid lane, and looks like blue team is showing really dominant in all lanes. Right now we have mid lane beating by almost double CS. In the bot lane, pretty much times 4 CS for them over Vayne. So Vayne pretty
9
shut
CS
down.
on Vayne.
You're
that's
pretty
so
shut
sad.
down at this point. And even Elise.
I feel bad for her.
Elise
Wait, no,
has-
Dragon Slayer Vayne, never mind.
times 4 CS on Elise over Shen too. So I really think that they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I have to say, I expected all of blue team's lanes to win, except maybe Ahri versus Orianna. As I said, Orianna could easily be playing this matchup a little bit better, and once Ahri hits level 6, then she has an advantage over Orianna, being high mobility, so it's going to be really hard for Orianna to land her ultimate in lane, but pre-level 6, I really don't think Ahri should have been able to get a kill on Orianna without a gank, so that was really, I think, just Orianna misplaying the lane matchup. And as I said, there were a lot of skill shots that I saw Blubberry Whale, sorry, on Orianna just kind of missed. He was basically, like I said, using command attack, but that basically opens you up to a little bit of predictability, and Ahri was able to predict that, land a charm, and get a lot of follow-up damage. So, like I said, not really playing the lane as well as I would like to see.
In Vayne, going for an interesting item choice on her first back, chooses to pick up boots too. I mean, it will help her against ganks very slightly, but it's not going to give her any damage. And Graves, you know, she really at this point can't trade with Graves. And there goes the engagement there, easily picking up a double kill. Graves so strong, even with that exhaust, that sunlight passive helping him do a little bit of extra damage even through that exhaustion. I think Jarvan just shows up top lane here, so they pretty much knew they were safe.
One interesting fact is that the fact that Graves was exhausted actually had absolutely no impact on how much damage he got from Sunlight proc, because technically the Sunlight proc is the passive of Leona, and it procs for, technically, Leona, but someone who procs it ends up technically doing the damage, but the actual procced damage itself is still going on Leona. So that Sunlight proc still did the entire 50 damage, even though Graves was exhausted. Little interesting fact I'd like to point out.
Very nice charm right there, allowing LG to get a quick kill on Blubbery Whale. Right there, not going to make the same. And Azaraki will go down for the first time in this game. Blue team, again, taking an even bigger lead. They can do it very early with that Shaco clone. All he needs to do, actually, they didn't even use the Shaco clone. They didn't even need it.
Yeah, they were able to take that drag, basically saying, alright, well, we just kind of destroyed the enemy bot lane, they're not going to be able to do anything about it, and even if they were alive, Vayne's at 21 CS, 8 minutes into the game, she's not really going to be able to do anything to contest it. We have pink wards here, they don't even know we're doing it, and even if they did, we would maybe see someone try to oppose it if they randomly stumbled upon drag, or maybe someone went out to try to ward, but ultimately, there were 3 of them there. Graves and Leona are very fed right now, and they're actually going to lane swap to the top lane. This is, I have to say, this is a great plan because Elise, she's going to have absolutely no trouble just bursting down Vayne really quickly because she's so far behind. And it looks like Graves, Lulu, they're going to be able to zone out Shen. They're going to make sure he stays at low health while he's in top lane, which really just discourages him from using his ultimate. So this is actually a very great play and a delayed lane swap, which is something we don't really see very often.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good play, and it's going to allow them to push this top tower a little more. There goes the engagement on Shen, taking a lot of damage. Leona's Sunlight helping him pick up that kill there. Very nice. And I do like this swap because it's going to allow her to push a little more, but again, look at, there's that no problem handling that Vayne at all. There goes the Ignite. Elise has that flash, uses that Spider Bite. I noticed the spiders kind of flashed after her awkwardly. And here comes Shaco. Looks like he's trying to go in on that Jarvan here. Shaco still closing in. He might be able to get away from this though. There's the Shiv. It's going to be able to get him a slow. The critical strikes from behind, and Shen manages to ult him and let him get away. Not the worst though, as he did blow an ult there and a flash. So very nice play there by Shaco, except his Ignite will be down. I guess they're just going to be free to take this tower.
And take that tower they will. They're taking it really quickly. Shen is just trying to see if there's anything he can do about it, but going too far.
And there goes the engagement on Shen, slowing him down. Very nice. Leona hitting him right in the center. Leona does Ignite there. Graves doing a quick flash auto attack. Jarvan trying to pick up that Leona, realizing that, hey, there's too many people here. So Leona gets away with how much health? That was 12?
12. It was 12. Her lowest point was 12 health right after a minion attacked her. One more minion shot and she would have easily died from that. But in the bot lane, we also see Vayne trying to 1v1. Well, it seems like a 1v1 right now because Lulu's at such a low health, she's kind of out of it. But we can see this is...
Looks like she might use a repel to get here. No, going on Vayne instead. And then she's always going to pick up the kill. Going to be able to jump on this Lulu right here. Lulu getting taken down. And at this point, Elise, you were right, just so strong at this point. And Vayne is so shut down. Lulu not doing enough to really save Vayne at all. And they are going to be picked up really easily right there.
There's that delayed lane swap in action right now. We see just basically... Elise is able to 1v2, and not just 1v2 as in lane 1v2, she's able to completely win those 1v2 engagements. It's just Vayne and Lulu, the Dragon Slayer and Dragon Tamer combo just completely, they're not able to do anything, let's be quite honest here. And they've been shut down. Vayne is sitting at 30 CS 12 minutes into the game. Oh wow, they've been doing so much work right now. And it looks like LG Scope, Suki and Desu, they're going to take this mid lane without any opposition because Orianna has also been shut down. She can't do very much damage either.
Yeah, Ahri played a very strong lane, and that's what Ahri's good at. She's good at roaming, and she's good at playing a strong lane, especially against someone like Orianna, who, again, as you mentioned earlier, can just be outmaneuvered. It's really hard to land all those command attacks and things when you can literally have 3 repositions in a fight and a flash if needed. So that is going to help keep her down on the ground. And at this point, it looks like the laning phase in this game is pretty much over. They can't really lane anymore. And their lanes are pushing, which isn't good because they're going to lose even more farm because blue team's going to be able to farm. They can't even come out behind and 5-man gank a team.
I have to say, I have the in-game chat up, and I like the sportsmanship that the blue team still has. They're basically saying, oh, we're sorry for beating you so hard, and they're actually giving advice on how to win these lanes the next game.
Well, that's really good, and it looks like Jarvan almost being taken down, getting Lulu ulted, but now Lulu is in trouble. Graves getting another double kill, and just what you were saying, Azza, I really, I just think that's good when players are nice. Because I always hear a lot of people talking about how players are bad or they didn't do this or, well, tell them, you know, why. I mean, very, very nice Shaco out there dodging the taunt. That was almost trolly, and they're going to pick him up. That Shaco always has a good joke. Never ask him what the punchline is, but it looks like they're going to be able to take this tower. All 3 towers being pushed. They're not really going to be able to force them away. No, actually, looks like they're going to be able to force Elise away. Actually, Vayne almost getting taken down, though.
Almost, but
almost. Nope, she's going to be taken down. Oh, very nice condemn, but it looks like she will get taken down. A little bit of a dot there on Vayne. Actually, one of her spiders might have picked that up. I didn't 100% notice. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit of a little dot.
Could have been a little of both, you never know, but it looks like blue team, they're pushing on inhibitors now. Stun from Leona.
Venus Blade and Charm gonna get blown up right there. Graves doing lots of damage there, and it looks like they could look to actually win the game here. Graves gonna help Elise push this inhibitor right now, and they are going to have almost all 3 inhibitors down. They have the chance to take the 3rd one.
Well, yeah, they take all 3 inhibitors. They can really end the game fairly soon here. They've been commanding every team fight they've been playing in so far. Over twice the amount of gold on the blue team than there is on the red team. All of the towers except for the Nexus towers, all of the towers except for the Nexus towers compared to 0 for the red team.
Ari gets taunted here. We see an Orianna. Oh, catching Graves and Ari. Very nice. Cataclysm, though, jumping out of it, but it looks like Jack Sparrow right in the middle of it. There actually might be fighting an advantageous fight here. Shaco is getting away, though, and Ari jumps in, bursting Jarvan down. And it looks like Graves, or actually Ari got that final shot, and now Graves just going under the tower, wants to pick up that Orianna, not going to be able to do it, though, as he does have pretty much no mana. Yeah, he only had 40 mana, not enough to even do anything. So
I feel like the blue team might be trying to play the who's going to die first game.
Oh, I want to see a flawless. I think they're trying to. They're being nice, but at the same time, they're like, I want a flawless victory. It'll be fun.
Yeah, getting a flawless victory in a tournament has definitely got to be one of the better things you can say about what you've done in League of Legends.
If it happens, I'm gonna use my Mortal Kombat voice too.
Oh, we got to see that as well.
Yeah, and it looks like the minions actually almost strong enough to continue to keep pushing on their own. There are 2 super minions that are going to be going, but at the same time, this is going to allow red team to catch up on some much needed farm. But blue team is going to be able to pick up some objectives here. As you can see, Shaco just taking that dragon right there. And it looks like they might be going for Baron. The minions just pushing so hard. They might actually be able to defeat Jarvan here. No, Jarvan's going to walk away. But at this point in the game, you do not want to have that many super minions knocking at your doorstep.
Oh yeah, triple inhibitors, 16 minutes into the game when your team has a total of 14k gold. There's really not a lot of wave clear that anyone on their team has, and I think they might actually be taken down by triple super minions in the first place. They really just don't have enough wave clear. We have Vayne's single target, Shen's single target, Lulu doesn't do a lot of damage, Jarvan is mostly single target. So they have, you know, a couple of command attack and then follow up with command dissonance, but it looks like the minions might be able to finish this game out as the last minion wave is no longer alive, and there we go.
Actually, they didn't
no one actually getting the Vixus.
Yeah, well, that
or
was
is it global now?
It was a flawless victory.
There's his Mortal Kombat voice. So
fatality.
Unfortunately for the red team, getting knocked out fairly soon in this tournament, but at the same time they were going up against Huevos, del Equipos, which, as we know, very, very strong team in this tournament. And as I just want to say this again, I like the way they treated that victory. They weren't like, ha, you guys are really bad at this, but they were more so saying, Vayne, you could have survived the early game a little bit better if you started with a Doran's Blade to give yourself a little bit more health and tankiness, because you're going up against one of the one of the most aggressive bot lanes in the game. Jarvan could have had a little bit more pressure, especially bot lane, because our lane was being so aggressive and we were attacking the entire time. So I definitely like to see that sort of sportsmanship in this tournament. I
Definitely,
approve.
sportsmanship is always good to see, especially when there's so much, of the exact opposite in the League of Legends community at some time.